When the president says, this is sketchy stuff, it's used by criminals, the banks take that, and they pay attention. And you know what happens if you don't pay attention? The Signature and Silvergate Bank both actually were very pro-Bitcoin and pro-crypto, and they got out on a limb, and the regulators shut down the two banks.
For the first time in 15 years, thousands of institutional investors were able to participate in the top cryptocurrency when the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission approved a number of spot Bitcoin exchange-traded funds at the beginning of the year. For Bitcoin, as well as the whole cryptocurrency and digital assets market, this was a momentous occasion that sparked a fresh discussion about the place of cryptocurrencies in conventional investing. Bitcoin has been trading in the same range since it topped $73,000 in March, and investors are becoming anxious about what the biggest cryptocurrency by market capitalization will do next. MicroStrategy creator and executive chairman Michael Saylor says there is no reason to worry because we are on track to meet the enormous price expectations that we all had earlier in the year in another famous fireside discussion with Bill Miller IV at the Bitcoin 2024 conference. Saylor cites three significant occurrences that, in his opinion, will instantly move Bitcoin from its current state to the one that we all desire.
Right, and what's the requirement? The banks got to custody the Bitcoin. They got to recognize it as an asset that's just as good as Apple stock, just as good as a T-bill. And so I think, we're rippling where we get a couple more improvements on the ETFs. We'll be at 100%. A few years from now, we'll be at 100% in accounting, and people will be comfortable with that. Once the regulators, when they start to repeat what Robert F. Kennedy said yesterday and what Donald Trump said today, which is Bitcoin is digital property, Bitcoin is freedom, Bitcoin is virtuous, we're not going to sell our Bitcoin. When they say that, the banks pay attention. Okay, the banks, you got to look at this as the banks are looking to the regulator is looking to the president, the administration. When the president says, this is sketchy stuff, it's used by criminals, the banks take that, and they pay attention. And you know what happens if you don't pay attention? The Signature and Silvergate Bank both actually were very pro-Bitcoin and pro-crypto, and they got out on a limb, and the regulators shut down the two banks, right? And so you can see why banks are conservative. You can see why public companies are conservative. The SEC, the CFTC, the OCC, and the FDIC matter. Political leadership matters. Rhetoric matters. So the words have changed. If Bitcoin is good for America, if it's good for the dollar, if it's good for the country's prosperity, if it's going to grow the economy, if that's the case, we're going to see all of those switches flip. Those all became catalysts. And now you have the three planks of institutional adoption. And now I want to make an observation. Citibank is based on National City Bank. And do you guys know the origin of National City Bank? The head of National City Bank was John D. Rockefeller's brother. And National City Bank was the bank set up by John D. Rockefeller because he didn't want to trust his money with J.P. Morgan. And so that happened more than 100 years ago. People that do business with these banks sometimes keep the same bank for 100 years. J.P. Morgan, Citibank, they're more than 100 years old. So a CFO, they want to do business with a bank they trust. And the world that I'm seeing is a world where Google generates $1 billion a month, and they send $1 billion a month to Citibank or J.P. Morgan, and they say, buy $1 billion of Bitcoin. And it's like $1 billion. Now it's $2 billion a month. Then Meta sends $1 billion a month. Then Microsoft sends $5 billion. And if you want to see a world where billions of dollars a month flow, and then it flows into the Bitcoin ecosystem, then it has to be with a bank that is too big to fail. When you're a $1 trillion company, you're not going to send your money to a bank that's the third-tier bank that isn't too big to fail, because your shareholders don't expect you to take that risk. So I think the catalyst is going to be banking acceptance. When that happens, you kind of look at that as, these are the high-power rails, right? These are the rails that move $1 billion a day, maybe $1 billion an hour, maybe $1 billion a minute, right? And when we get there, then I think Bitcoin takes its next leg up.
Saylor anticipates that the repeal of the SEC.SAB 121 accounting regulation will be the last regulatory reform affecting staff accounting. In March 2022, the SEC released guidelines in the form of Bulletin 121, which mandates that public companies include the fair value of digital assets on their balance sheets. This contrasts with the way custodial assets are frequently handled as off-balance sheet assets in accounting. The guidelines essentially mandate that companies and centralized exchanges disclose to the public the amount and kind of Bitcoin they hold on behalf of customers. Financial institutions, including banks, are advised by SAB 121 to record its clients' cryptocurrencies as a liability on their balance sheets if they hold cryptocurrency on their behalf. Tens of billions of dollars will flood into Bitcoin at a pretty regular pace if this final piece of the puzzle is put in place, according to Saylor, who thinks it is essential for large tech corporations like Apple and Google to start buying Bitcoin and holding it as a reserve asset. Because the accounting rule essentially forbids regulated banking institutions from providing digital asset custody to their exceedingly rich customers, Bitcoin investors have been quite critical of the law. Here are some more excerpts from the discussion.
Okay, I'll answer there are two questions. The first question is, if Bitcoin is lower than it is right now in 4 years, you should count yourself lucky because you get to buy it. Okay? And by the way, that's not me. That's Warren Buffett speaking. Warren would say the same thing, right? Warren would be a Bitcoiner if he was just 40 years younger. Trust me. It's just, I'm probably not so open to the new, like, telepathic coin when I'm 99, or whatever. I might not be on stage talking about the new thing, but my point is Warren Buffett would say you shouldn't be sad when the price is lower. It's your opportunity to buy it. My second point, if you had a choice in this audience, and if I said, I know where Bitcoin's going, it's going to 13 million a coin, I'm willing to bet $15 billion on it, maybe 50 billion, maybe 100 billion on it. That's what I believe. Now, if I told you it's going to 13 million a coin tomorrow, how do you feel? What would you be thinking? Now, if I told you it'll go to 13 million a coin in 8 years, what are you thinking? Now, if I told you it's going to go to 13 million a coin in 21 years, what are you thinking? And let me tell you, what's the most valuable information in the world? It's not knowing what's going to happen tomorrow. In fact, if I told you it was going to go to 13 million in 21 years and it was going to go perfectly linearly with no volatility, is that better than if it goes to 13 million and it goes all over the place like this? And I'm going to give you my opinion. The worst thing is to know what happens tomorrow. If it goes to 13 million tomorrow, the only Bitcoin you're ever going to have is what you have in your pocket right now. And your thought is going to be, damn, I should have bought more. My second thought is, oh, all my family and friends, it's too late for them. They missed it. I feel really awful because I wanted to get them into it. The third thought is, wow, I don't have time to go refinance my house. The fourth thought is, well, how do I start a business and raise $1 billion to buy more Bitcoin? I'm not going to get that done by tomorrow morning. Fifth thought is, damn, I have all this money. It's not on the exchange. I can't wire it because banks are closed tonight. Okay, that's awful news. You don't want that. Okay? If I give you 8 years, okay, you have 8 years, but that's not enough time for everybody to get on board. If I give you 21 years and it's perfectly linear, that's awful too, because every stupid normie person that doesn't believe in Bitcoin, that doesn't understand what you understand, that has no conviction, they're going to get more Bitcoin than you because they're just this. Do you want the stupid, dumb money to buy all your Bitcoin before you buy it? No, you don't want it to be non-volatile. Here's what you want. You want it to be extremely volatile because that way you know something nobody else knows. I give you 21 years and you can go start a company, borrow money, raise capital, start a hedge fund, create a Bitcoin business, tell your friends, start a podcast, build a life for yourself, get leverage, mortgage your house, change the view of your bank. I'm giving you the ability to do work. It's a lever. It's a 21-year lever, okay? Like MicroStrategy has been working 4 years. If Bitcoin had gone from 10,000 to 65,000 on August 11th, on the day we announced our Bitcoin buy on August 10th, we wouldn't be worth 40 billion right now. We would be worth 4 billion right now. You see, so you want the lever, you want the time, and the second thing you want is you want massive volatility. Because, you know, like for example, when Bitcoin went from 66,000 to 16,000, everybody else, you know, had a crap, lost their minds, freaked out, and we doubled down, right? And it was a benefit for us. It was a problem for everybody else. We ripped up. And so you get the chance to prove yourself economically, and you get a chance to prove yourself intellectually, and you get a chance to prove yourself morally and ethically if you live through the volatility. You should pray for the volatility. When it goes away, you'll lose your advantage. And you should be happy that you know where everybody else on the planet's going to be in 21 years. You got a 21-year head start. That's a career. You can make a life out of that. And don't worry about the stuff that comes in the middle. It's a good thing.
Saylor previously made a very positive prediction about the price of Bitcoin in a keynote speech at the conference. Presenting a base scenario, a bull case, and a bear case for the most well-liked cryptocurrency in 21 years, he offered his macro projection for the cryptocurrency in 2045. Saylor predicts that the price of Bitcoin will rise from its current $68,000 to $3 million, a minimum of 4,300%. For the most well-known cryptocurrency, that is the worst scenario. Saylor claims that if Bitcoin hits $13 million by 2045, its price will have skyrocketed by 19,000 from where it is now, and its market value will have increased by 280 times from its current $1.3 trillion to $280 trillion. The Saylor bull case is even more enthusiastic, estimating that the market value of cryptocurrencies will reach around $1 quadrillion by 2045, with a startling $49 million per Bitcoin. Kindly make sure to subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts about Saylor's Bitcoin predictions in the comments section below. Thanks for watching.